The council chamber on Viridian Prime was enormous, a vaulted hall of gleaming metal and crystalline lights. The ceiling arched high above, reflecting colors that shifted with the alien delegates' movements. Hundreds of beings filled the chamber, each species more advanced and ornate than the last. Their bodies shimmered with natural bioluminescence, wings extended or appendages flicking nervously, and robes adorned with symbols of authority. In the very center of the hall sat the eternal prism, encased in a transparent energy field. It was a relic older than most civilizations present, sealed for thousands of years and resistant to every attempt at activation. Scholars, mages, engineers, and diplomats had tried countless times to awaken it, using the most advanced technology, complex rituals, and careful incantations. But it remained silent and still, glowing faintly only when disturbed by ambient energy. Its smooth surface reflected the lights of the chamber, its facets etched with intricate patterns that no alien language had fully deciphered. Daniel Moore, a young human, stood quietly near the edge of the gathering. He was small compared to the towering aliens and unadorned, wearing simple clothing compared to the ceremonial robes and armor around him. Humans had long been underestimated in the galaxy, thought to lack experience, strength, or sophistication. Daniel had no illusions of grandeur. He did not speak loudly, nor did he try to assert himself. He simply observed. His brown eyes scanned the chamber and the ancient prism with careful curiosity. The room buzzed with alien conversation and whispers, comments about who would attempt the activation first, disputes over protocols, and arguments about who had the proper authority. Yet Daniel barely noticed. His focus was entirely on the relic, on the energy patterns faintly radiating from it, and on the subtle vibrations across its surface that no one else seemed to detect. As the council prepared for the activation ceremony, Daniel leaned slightly closer, tilting his head to examine the prism. The surface was unnaturally smooth, yet the etched lines and geometrical patterns seemed almost alive, shifting imperceptibly. He crouched slightly, careful not to interfere with the alien delegates' procedures. The vibrations he noticed were so faint that they could have been mistaken for the hall's natural resonance or the alien delegates' movement. Yet to Daniel they were intriguing, like a heartbeat that pulsed quietly beneath the surface of a stone. He whispered under his breath, not intending anyone to hear, "Why won't you wake? What is it waiting for?" Around him, the council continued with their rituals. Alien delegates arranged crystalline rods into precise formations, chanting in their harmonic tongues while energy flowed from hovering devices into the prism. Screens and holograms floated above, displaying calculations and diagrams of ancient alien science. Every detail was planned and precise. Yet the prism did not respond. Its light remained faint, almost indifferent. Daniel noticed how tense the council members had become. Many of them frowned, their appendages twitching with frustration or impatience. Some exchanged sharp glances, questioning whether anyone in the chamber could succeed. Centuries of knowledge had failed. Centuries of power had been powerless. Daniel moved his hand slightly closer to the prism's surface, not to touch, but to feel the faint hum of energy that vibrated beneath his fingertips. He felt a connection, subtle but undeniable, as if the relic were observing him back. He did not command it, nor did he try to manipulate it like the aliens had with machines, psychic resonance, or spells. He simply allowed himself to focus, to notice the patterns, to be present. His heart beat quietly in his chest, and in that calm attention, he felt a kind of understanding forming, a small spark of intuition that had eluded even the most advanced alien scholars. The council began to murmur among themselves, noticing the human's presence near the prism. Some whispered, "Why is a human so close? Do they even understand the process?" Others scoffed, confident that nothing a human could do would matter. Daniel ignored the whispers. He did not need recognition or approval. He only needed to observe, to feel, and to understand. He tilted his head slightly, eyes narrowing in concentration, and noticed that the vibrations changed when he focused his attention fully. The prism did not respond to the devices, the energy, or the spells. It responded to observation, awareness, and perhaps something as simple as honesty of presence. Minutes passed, the council's ritual continued, and yet the prism remained silent to the aliens' attempts. Daniel, still quietly standing, felt a faint warmth radiating from it now. He did not startle, he only noted it. He whispered again softly, "I see you. I understand a little of your rhythm." He did not realize that this acknowledgement, this simple recognition of the relic's presence without fear or ambition, was something no alien had ever offered. The council was too focused on control and procedure to notice, but the prism's faint pulses were shifting subtly, influenced by the calm presence of a human boy who did not seek power, who only observed and respected. Around him the alien delegates grew more tense. Some raised their voices, trying to speed up the ritual, while others exchanged frustrated gestures. The room hummed with energy and expectation. Daniel, however, remained steady. He adjusted his stance, took a deep breath, and allowed himself to simply watch, noticing the subtle changes in light along the prism's facets and the slight vibrations under his fingertips. It was quiet, patient attention, unassuming and unafraid. For the first time in centuries, the prism seemed to acknowledge the presence of a being not trying to dominate or impress, but simply to notice and understand. Daniel did not know it yet, but the relic had sensed something unique: raw curiosity, courage, and a calm heart. While the Council's elaborate technologies and rituals had failed repeatedly, this quiet, simple human attention would soon become the key that awakened the ancient power. The chamber continued its preparations, unaware that the most important observer was not a council member or a scholar, but a small human who had dared only to watch, to feel, and to notice the smallest vibrations of a relic older than the galaxy itself. Would you like me to continue with part 2, expanding it the same way so the prism starts reacting to Daniel's scream? The council chamber buzzed with energy as the alien delegates prepared for the ritual. Crystalline rods floated in geometric patterns, projecting beams of colored light toward the eternal prism. Alien voices rose in harmonic chants, blending with the hum of psychic amplifiers. Holographic symbols flickered above the prism, calculating energy flows, vibration frequencies, and arcane alignments. Every movement, every sound, every gesture was precise. The aliens had spent centuries perfecting these procedures, convinced that intelligence, technology, and ritual were the keys to awakening the relic. Yet the prism remained unresponsive. Its surface glowed only faintly, reflecting the lights of the chamber, as if mocking their centuries of effort. Delegates murmured in frustration, their bodies twitching with impatience. Whispers spread quickly across the hall. How can a human even observe this? They will never understand the subtleties of the prism. Another failure as expected from their kind. Humans were seen as weak, impulsive, and insignificant. Daniel Moore, small and quiet, felt the weight of their skepticism but did not falter. He stood a few steps closer to the prism, his eyes fixed on its smooth facets and intricate etchings. Unlike the aliens, he did not attempt to manipulate or control. He only observed, noticing subtle changes invisible to others. As Daniel leaned closer, a faint hum traveled along the surface of the prism. It was so soft that it could have been mistaken for a trick of the lights, but he felt it beneath his fingertips. Without thinking, his hand brushed the smooth crystal accidentally. The moment was small, insignificant, yet it triggered a sudden surge of energy. The hum swelled into a vibration that rattled the chamber slightly, and the prism pulsed faintly with light. Daniel, startled by the sensation, let out a sharp, involuntary scream. The sound was raw, high-pitched, full of fear, surprise, and wonder all at once. The scream echoed through the enormous hall, bouncing off the polished walls and high ceiling. The alien delegates froze, their wide eyes reflecting shock and disbelief. Some faltered in their chants, others stepped back, unsure how to respond to such an unexpected and unstructured act. The council had relied on centuries of ritual, technology, and careful alignment of energy, and yet it was a human scream, a simple, uncontrolled burst of emotion, that caused the prism to respond. Its faint pulses grew slightly stronger, spreading light along the geometric patterns etched across its surface. Daniel's heart raced. He had not intended to awaken anything, he had only been startled. Yet as the glow intensified, he realized that his scream had not frightened the relic, it had connected with it. He stood perfectly still, staring at the prism, his hands trembling slightly but unmoving. Around him, the chamber seemed to hold its breath. The chants stopped, the energy beams flickered, and even the psychic fields shimmered uncertainly. The aliens, with all their centuries of experience and knowledge, had failed to elicit this response. A single human emotion, raw, unpolished, and genuine, had reached the ancient artifact in a way no one else had managed. The light along the prism grew warmer, almost golden, though faintly at first. Tiny vibrations traveled from the crystal into the floor and walls of the chamber. Daniel felt them through his feet, a gentle resonance that seemed to respond to his heartbeat. He whispered to himself, "It's reacting." The glow strengthened slightly each time he exhaled, his focus unwittingly encouraging it. The human scream had unlocked the first key, honesty of emotion. The prism did not respond to complexity, ritual, or precision. It responded to something pure, immediate and heartfelt. Around him, the alien council shifted uncomfortably. Some delegates exchanged worried glances, realizing that the centuries of careful procedures had been bypassed by an unpredictable human. One elder stepped forward, wings trembling with alarm. "This cannot be," it whispered. Others began murmuring, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and anger. Yet Daniel did not retreat. His scream had been instinctive, a moment of raw humanity. Now, steadied by the realization that the relic was alive and aware, he inhaled slowly, steadying his breathing. The prism's glow began to respond more clearly to Daniel's calm attention after the scream. Small patterns of light crawled along its facets, shifting like living lines that traced ancient symbols. The vibrations became stronger, resonating with the boy's heartbeat and voice. The aliens could only watch, frozen in astonishment, as something none of their technology or magic had achieved began to happen. Daniel had acted without ambition, without ritual, without planning. He had simply existed, felt, and responded honestly. For the first time in thousands of years, the council realized that their centuries of knowledge could not replace raw human instinct and courage. The prism pulsed brighter with each breath Daniel took, as though acknowledging him personally. A faint hum, stronger than before, reverberated through the chamber, not threatening but welcoming. The human boy had achieved what every alien mind had failed to do. Daniel, still trembling from the scream, stepped slightly back. He stared at the growing light, awe and disbelief in his eyes. Around him, the chamber seemed quieter now, as though the prism had hushed the council in recognition of his presence. The alien delegates remained frozen, whispers of panic and amazement filling the hall. A human, a small, underestimated human, had done what no alien could: awaken the first stirrings of the eternal prism with a single scream, pure in its honesty and emotion. And in that moment, Daniel realized that he had just touched something far older and more powerful than he could ever have imagined, simply by being human. If you want, I can continue with part 3, where the prism begins fully awakening and projections of its power appear, keeping the same style and word count. Do you want me to do that next? The chamber on Viridian Prime trembled slightly as the prism's glow intensified. Colors rippled across its facets, shifting through blues, greens, golds, and purples in an unearthly spectrum. Light reflected across the polished floor and high arched walls, bouncing off the crystalline structures and illuminating the astonished faces of the alien delegates. Energy pulsed through the room, causing instruments to beep and hum uncontrollably, while holographic panels flickered as if confused by a power far greater than any algorithm could calculate. Papers and floating devices swayed, lifted briefly by invisible forces, and the aliens instinctively stepped back, some startled, some fearful. Tentacles, wings, or limbs twitched nervously as they tried to comprehend what was happening. Daniel Moore stood near the edge of the prism, small and quiet, yet entirely composed despite the growing chaos. The vibrations from the prism seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Every pulse resonated through the floor, the walls, and even through the metal structures of the chamber, as though the relic recognized him. It was no longer merely reacting to his scream. It seemed aware of his presence, his fear, his awe, and his honest curiosity. He could feel the energy subtly brushing against his senses, neither harmful nor overwhelming but powerful and alive. The aliens around him could only watch in disbelief. Centuries of advanced knowledge, technology, and rituals had failed to awaken the prism, yet here was a human, a small, unassuming human, eliciting a response that no alien device or incantation could match. Whispers ran through the council. How is this possible? A human? Their kind is underestimated? The words were tinged with fear, astonishment, and a grudging awe. Some stepped closer, hoping to observe or even intervene, while others took careful steps back, uncertain of what forces had been unleashed. Slowly, a new phenomenon appeared above the prism. Light formed a thin, pulsing veil, and as it thickened, shapes began to emerge, holographic projections that defied explanation. Maps of galaxies, previously lost to history, shimmered in the air, their lines glowing and shifting with intricate patterns. Symbols from ancient civilizations long forgotten rotated slowly, accompanied by data streams of knowledge encoded in alien mathematics and color frequencies. Daniel stepped back slightly, shielding his eyes against the brilliance. His pulse quickened, not from fear alone, but from the realization of what was unfolding. He had not planned this, yet he had somehow triggered the first true awakening of the eternal prism. The chamber was silent except for the low hum of energy and the occasional sharp gasp from delegates. The prism's vibrations harmonized with Daniel's heartbeat, creating a subtle resonance that seemed to guide the projections above it. The light was not chaotic. It moved with purpose, as though the relic understood the human boy's intentions. Daniel realized that the prism responded not to power, force, or ceremony, but to courage, honesty, and genuine emotion. The centuries of precise rituals and advanced alien science had overlooked this simple, essential truth. The prism sought not knowledge but spirit. Some alien council members tried to intervene, sending energy pulses or attempting to manipulate the holographic data with their devices. Each attempt failed. The projections ignored external interference, moving only in response to the calm presence of Daniel. The boy remained still, awed, feeling both fear and wonder at the relic that had ignored countless alien minds but now pulsed with life before him. His brown eyes reflected the shimmering lights as he whispered softly, "It's alive." Around him, the council began to grasp the magnitude of what was occurring. Their centuries of pride, their elaborate machines, and their arcane rituals had not worked. A human, small and underestimated, had succeeded where they had failed. The realization rippled through the chamber. Perhaps the key was not advanced technology, perfect alignment, or centuries of study. Perhaps the key was something simpler, something alien minds had overlooked entirely: honesty, courage, and the purity of genuine emotion. The prism's light intensified further, now glowing like a miniature sun in the center of the chamber. Projections became more detailed, revealing histories of civilizations that had vanished, star systems that had been hidden, and secrets of energy, matter, and life across the galaxy. Daniel's breathing became shallow as he took in the enormity of what he had witnessed. He understood, in that moment, that he had tapped into something extraordinary, something that transcended his understanding in the alien centuries of knowledge. Despite the chaos, he did not step back or flee. He watched calmly as the prism's glow reflected on the chamber walls, recognizing his presence as if it had been waiting for him alone. The relic did not merely shine, it acknowledged him. His scream had been the spark, but his attention, humility, and courage had sustained the awakening. The aliens could no longer deny it. This small human boy had done what none of their most advanced devices, spells, or intellect could accomplish. The chamber was filled with awe, the sort that comes only once in a millennium when the impossible becomes real. Daniel Moore, by simply being human, had awakened an ancient power that had ignored all others. And in that moment, the council understood a truth they could no longer ignore. The eternal prism had recognized a human spirit, and that recognition would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. If you want, I can continue with part 4, showing how the council reacts fully and begins to respect Daniel while the prism's power spreads, keeping the same detailed and simple style. Do you want me to do that next? The council chamber was still bathed in the prism's radiant light, though its intensity had softened into a gentle, steady glow. The alien delegates murmured among themselves, confusion and awe mixing in their voices. For centuries they had believed only their advanced knowledge, complex rituals, and powerful technology could awaken the eternal prism. Yet now, a human, small, inexperienced, and seemingly ordinary, had done what no alien had managed. Some council members were uneasy. They leaned forward on their hovering platforms, wings or appendages twitching, and whispered to one another. "We cannot allow a human to control this," one said sharply. "They lack experience, understanding, authority. This is dangerous." Others nodded, concerned that Daniel might not comprehend the full scope of the prism's power. They feared the artifact could be misused or destabilized in human hands. Yet the elders, the most senior members of the council, observed quietly. They noticed what others had missed. Daniel had approached the prism without arrogance, without desire for power or glory. He had not sought to dominate or manipulate. He had only observed, reacted honestly, and responded with courage when confronted with the unknown. His actions had been instinctive and pure, yet they had achieved something the most advanced alien minds could not. Daniel stood in the center of the chamber, calm despite the murmurs and the residual energy that still radiated from the prism. He spoke softly, his voice carrying clearly through the hall. "The knowledge the prism has revealed, it belongs to all of us," he said. "We should share it carefully, respectfully, so that every species can benefit. Power is meaningless unless it is used wisely and fairly." The council fell silent. His words were simple, yet they carried weight. Unlike the alien delegates who often valued control and hierarchy, Daniel emphasized fairness, collaboration, and caution. He did not demand recognition or obedience. He did not try to assert authority. He simply spoke with honesty and humility, qualities the aliens rarely valued but that the prism seemed to recognize and honor. As he spoke, the prism pulsed gently, the light spreading evenly across its surface. The energy felt warmer now, less chaotic, more like a heartbeat syncing with Daniel's calm presence. It was as if the relic were approving his words and acknowledging his intentions. The holographic projections above it shimmered softly, mapping galaxies and ancient knowledge with steady clarity rather than the erratic flicker seen before. The younger delegates looked at one another in disbelief. "A human, suggesting how to manage the prism?" one whispered. "Are they serious?" The elders, however, nodded slowly, their bioluminescent features glowing faintly in agreement. One elder, an ancient being with translucent skin and glowing tendrils, addressed the council. "Perhaps we have underestimated humans. Their courage, honesty, and clarity of mind allow them to achieve what we could not." The prism responded to instinct and intent, not control or ritual. Daniel listened quietly as the council deliberated. He did not interrupt or try to influence their decisions. He remained humble, aware that the prism's awakening was not his alone, but a shared responsibility for all present. His demeanor, calm, respectful, and thoughtful, spoke volumes more than words could. The aliens, initially doubtful and fearful, began to see humans in a new light. They realized that the qualities Daniel had displayed, courage, insight, and the ability to act quickly under pressure, were strengths they often lacked. Some council members still struggled with their skepticism. They feared giving influence to someone so inexperienced. But as the prism's light bathed the chamber, those doubts began to fade. They could not ignore the fact that Daniel's simple, honest actions had achieved the impossible. The artifact had awakened fully because of him, not despite him. The energy, knowledge, and wisdom now accessible through the prism were being revealed safely because of the human's humility and integrity. Finally, one elder spoke, addressing the council and Daniel. "This human has demonstrated that courage and honesty can surpass even the most advanced power. We must honor their contribution and consider their counsel seriously." The chamber fell silent in agreement. Even the skeptical delegates felt the truth of the statement. Daniel had proven that humans, long underestimated, were capable of insight, quick thinking, and leadership in ways the most advanced alien civilizations often could not match. The prism pulsed gently, a rhythmic glow that filled the hall with warmth and calm energy. Daniel's words, his presence, and his intentions had harmonized with it, completing the awakening in a way no technology, spell, or ritual ever could. The chamber, once tense with fear and doubt, now felt quiet and respectful. The council had learned a vital lesson. Power alone does not awaken ancient mysteries. Courage, humility, and honesty, the very traits Daniel embodied, could achieve the impossible. As the aliens adjusted to the realization, Daniel remained at the center of the chamber, silent and thoughtful. He had not sought glory, control, or recognition. He had acted out of instinct and sincerity. The council recognized that this human had not only awakened the prism but had done so in a way that ensured knowledge, wisdom, and power would be shared responsibly. The eternal prism, once silent and indifferent, now pulsed gently in approval, acknowledging the boy who had acted with heart, mind, and courage. For the first time, the council understood something profound. Humanity, often underestimated, possessed qualities that no machine, ritual, or alien intellect could replicate. Daniel Moore, a simple human, had changed their perspective forever. The chamber glowed, the prism's light steady and calm, as aliens and human alike witnessed a moment of understanding and respect that would echo through the galaxy. If you want, I can continue with Part 5, the conclusion, showing the prism's knowledge being shared and humanity's courage fully recognized. Do you want me to do that next? The chamber on Viridian Prime glowed brighter than ever as the eternal prism's light spread across every surface. The holographic projections above it shimmered and rotated, displaying star maps of uncharted systems, records of civilizations long vanished, and hidden knowledge of energy, matter, and cosmic phenomena. Alien delegates stared in awe, their eyes reflecting the light, realizing that what had once been a mysterious relic of the past was now a source of understanding for the present. Daniel Moore stood quietly near the edge, still small and unassuming, yet at the center of an event that would be remembered for millennia. The council paused, absorbing the full magnitude of what had been revealed. The prism's glow no longer pulsed wildly, it radiated steadily as if content. The artifact's energy had harmonized with Daniel's presence, rewarding honesty, courage, and genuine emotion. The aliens, long convinced that humans were fragile, inexperienced, and limited, now saw the truth. One human boy had done what centuries of their technology, magic, and knowledge could not. Whispers ran through the chamber, "Incredible, a human." They succeeded where we failed. Perhaps our assumptions about other species were wrong. Daniel did not speak loudly or claim credit. He simply observed, eyes wide with awe, heart still racing from the experience. His scream, a spontaneous release of raw emotion, had been the spark that awakened the prism, but his continued calm presence had allowed it to stabilize. In doing so, he had shown the Council, and the galaxy, that courage and honesty could surpass complexity and power. He had not sought glory, authority, or reward. He had acted instinctively, guided only by curiosity, empathy, and respect. The elders of the Council approached cautiously, their bioluminescent appendages flickering in approval. One stepped forward, a tall being with translucent skin and glowing veins, and addressed Daniel directly. "Human, you have accomplished what our greatest minds could not. You awakened the eternal prism not with force, not with study, but with courage, honesty, and instinct. Your actions have reminded us that even the smallest beings may hold the greatest potential." The younger delegates murmured in agreement, some still astonished, others now inspired. Alien scholars who had spent centuries attempting to unlock the prism's secrets bowed their heads in respect. They realized that their own arrogance and reliance on complex rituals had blinded them to simpler, yet far more powerful truths: empathy, honesty, and courage. Humans, once dismissed as weak observers, had proven capable of achieving the impossible. Across Viridian Prime and neighboring systems, the story of Daniel Moore spread quickly. Holonews networks and scholarly reports shared the moment a human scream had awakened the eternal prism, breaking a seal that had held for thousands of years. It was told that the human had acted with honesty, fear, and bravery, not knowing the power he held in his hands. Scientists, historians, and diplomats debated the implications. The galaxy had always underestimated humans, yet one boy had revealed that instinct and heart could succeed where knowledge and magic had failed. Daniel returned to Earth quietly, unaware of the full magnitude of his impact. He resumed his studies, continued his work as a young engineer and diplomat, and carried with him the memory of the prism's light. Though he did not seek fame, his bravery was celebrated across star systems. Humans were now recognized as beings capable of insight, courage, and intuition unmatched even by advanced alien civilizations. Stories of his actions inspired a new generation of humans and aliens alike, reminding all that even in a galaxy of unimaginable technology and power, the human spirit could shine brightly. The prism's light remained a symbol of this revelation. Alien delegates continued to study it, now approaching with respect, patience, and humility rather than force. They realized that its true awakening required qualities that could not be manufactured, qualities humans had naturally displayed. Daniel's scream, simple and unplanned, had bridged the gap between species, proving that courage and honesty could unlock ancient mysteries, reveal lost knowledge, and reshape the understanding of the universe. Years later, scholars continued to analyze the knowledge revealed by the prism, but none forgot the role of the human boy who had awakened it. Across councils, universities, and space stations, Daniel's story was retold, a tale of humility, instinct, and courage that transcended technology, power, and tradition. The galaxy learned a new truth: humans, often underestimated, possessed a unique ability to achieve the impossible through heart, honesty, and bravery. And so, the eternal prism stood awakened, its light steady and harmonious, a testament to one human boy's courage and the boundless potential of the human spirit. Daniel Moore's simple act of honesty and bravery had changed not only the Council's perception but the perception of the galaxy itself. In a universe of advanced civilizations and ancient relics, humans had proven that their strength lay not in tools or magic, but in instinct, courage, and heart. The galaxy would remember this moment forever. A human scream had shattered the silence, awakened the ancient seal, and revealed that even the smallest beings could achieve the impossible.